right, there it is. If you saw the gram, then you know it's up and running. It's wrapped up. It's good to go. So I guess this will be the last kind of part in the whole install video thingamajiggy. So what do we feel about it? How do we feel about the install? You know, honestly, it was not bad at all. It's all cleaned up here. You can see it's all put back together. Got harnesses all tucked away. Still have to do a little bit of tucking up here. Show you what we did on the driver's side here. So you got to use their, well, in my case, I have to use their fuel pressure sensor here, 150 psi sensor, and their map sensor as well, which I have sitting over here. I'm gonna get a sensor block, one of those remote sensor blocks. Motion makes a really nice one. I'll probably end up with that. Clean up the install, but for the time being, I've got it zippy whipped up here with the line coming to it right here. I got rid of that transformer sex toy looking thing that I had for flex fuel setup, and just made my own, some Earl's fittings, and this cool little, I think it might be a Russell actually, this little fitting here. It's 3/8 quick connect on one side. It already has a little 3/8 MPT manifold thing here built into it, so I'll put the sensor in there. Simplifies the install. That's all done, and that's it. You gotta tuck a couple of these things away, but otherwise it's pretty good to go from the mechanical standpoint. So as far as the install goes, how was it? It was not hard at all. It's pretty damn easy, if I'm honest. I mentioned it before on some of the most common complaints or repetitive complaints I had seen in the past had to do with not being a plug and play, or, you know, advertise a plug and play, but it's not really a plug and play. This damn thing is about as plug and play as it gets. I literally had to wire, and I didn't even have to do it. It's just the way we optioned this kit out here. Man, you might be tough to see, but that guy right down there, that is the, zoom in, you bastard, there you go. That guy, that's the auxiliary in and out port, plug. Get it, damn it, there you go. That's the only thing that had to be wired up there. You can see a couple wires coming up from the bottom there. That is for the 5-bar that I'm using. Had we optioned it out where I just use a stock map sensor, I wouldn't even have had to use that, and there would have been zero wiring whatsoever. Same thing on the 4-inch screen there, the logger. That's an option in the kit. If you don't get that, and you don't have to wire it in, and, you know, again, that's 4 wires. So it's that easy. It really is that easy. Some of what took me a little bit of time and some of the delays, 90% of it was of my own doing. You know, I had an issue once I got everything put together. I had an issue where I went to key on power, make sure everything had power, and I had no power anywhere. Everything was dead. And as it turns out, electronics are very picky when they don't have ground. And I used to have an Innovate wideband in here. Matter of fact, I used to go right up here where this stupid Mickey Mouse looking hole thing is now. You know, they don't make these anymore. Can you believe it? It's not like it's a 12-year-old car or anything. They don't make this stupid thing, so now I've got to figure out and maybe break into my neighbor's car and steal his or something. I don't know. Whatever the case is, I'm gonna have to find it. I used to have a gauge pod here with a little Innovate wideband, ethanol sensor, all that crap. And the ground lug was down there on the driver's side rail. And I had it disconnected, so I'm, of course, trying to test for power, and I've got no power anywhere. Well, that's why. So I figured that out after having Kurt on the phone with me from ProEFI, helping me shoot wires for continuity and checking power and ground and stuff. So obviously, big shout out, big thanks to him for helping me, even though it was my own idiotic doing. Once we got that up and running, I had another issue where we had power, but I had no CAN communication with the logger or with the CAN cable. That actually ended up turning out to be a little problem with the kit. The wideband controller was wired incorrectly, or the plug, I should say, was wired incorrectly. It was flipped. The plugs going in were this way. So no big deal. It's 4 wires, so I just, you know, checked them out and found out what one side was asking for, power and ground. The other side didn't have it wired that way. So I flipped them around, and we got that up and running. And that's it. After that, I got everything that was talking, squawking, and ready to rock and roll. Fired it up, and sure enough, it started right up first time, and idled pretty well. So now the fun part starts, and that's the tuning side, and that's where it's a whole different animal here. But again, as far as the hardware goes, guys, yeah, man, this is the way. This is the stuff. I didn't have to splice, duplicate sensors, run 100 wires inside and outside of the car, modify anything inside the car, really. It's about as clean and simple an install as you get. You keep everything functionally as far as the can is concerned. Everything works inside the car just like it did before. The instrument cluster works great. It is raining like a son of a bitch. So yeah, I mean, what more can you ask for? Now I got, integrated controls for nitrous and traction control and all kinds of other cool stuff. It's pretty simple stuff, man. Installing the ECU and all that stuff, that didn't take very long. Knowing what I know now, and I understand where the guys over there at ProEFI make the point that most of these kits end up going to shops. I think a lot of people get intimidated by the idea. They don't market it, like I said, we talked about before. It's not like a Holly where it's kind of a user friendly type of deal. They don't market it that way, but in reality, it's I think people are maybe overly scared, more scared than they need to be. It really isn't a difficult kit as far as installation is concerned. It's very much plug and play. It's actually easier than a Holly. That thing over there, you gotta run your power, your ground. You've got switch power, then you've got a wire, relay, trigger for the fans, trigger wire for the fuel pump. So there's way more wiring. That's before you even get into the in and outs on a Holly than there is on this guy. It literally is plug and play, and you still get an input output harness with it. So it's feature rich, ton of stuff, easy to go in. The guys so far have been helpful with me. There's a lot more information that I'm gonna have to start asking them about. So that's really it, man. I'm glad I went this route. If not for my own stupid mistakes, I would have had this thing running days ago, just between not reading instructions correctly like an idiot and making assumptions that I shouldn't have made. That's kind of what slowed me down. The directions, instructions, yeah, it's true, and I'll bring that up again. That really is the only place where, if ProEFI was going to market more towards knuckleheads like me, probably going to want to have a little bit more of a step-by-step, hold your hand kind of directional thing. That's the one area where you got to give Holly, their due credit. I mean, their instruction manuals read like a fairy tale book, once upon a time, that whole kind of deal there, and they hold your hand, and it's very engaging and all that stuff, where ProEFI just gives you directions on how to build a ballistic missile. So, that notwithstanding though, I'm very much happy with it. Now, like I said, the real challenge begins now. We have to figure out how to tune this thing. The software is very much unlike anything I'm used to. Just fumbling around with it. Looks like it's not just a simple, pull a file, save it, read it, that kind of stuff, and then flash it back to the computer. There's a kind of a two-step process involved where you have a program file, and then you have a cal file, and you have to kind of merge the two or marry the two like cousins. I don't even know. It's weird, but I've got a bunch of weird faults coming on that I don't pertain to my car, so I'm trying to turn it off and flash it back, and it's not really doing that. So I'll have to get with the guys at ProEFI, reach out to Brandon at ARS up in McKinney. They sold me the kit, and they certainly know the kit very well, so I'm sure I'll reach out to them and touch base with them and see what kind of directions they can guide me with. And we've got a ProEFI 101 course hopefully coming up in June. If we get enough people to jump on that thing, that'll help a ton. But yeah, next video I'll make will be after we get some time behind the wheel and some time behind the laptop, and if I haven't made it burn down by then hopefully I'll have something good to share with you. You notice I did keep the factory map sensor there. I've got the DSX auxiliary fuel kit like every 01 in the world, and it depends on the signal out of this guy to trigger the fuel pump, the controller, a little microcontroller over here for the fuel pump, that guy right down there. So I kept the wiring intact, kept this thing alive. It just the actual signal wire going to the ECU, I cut it back there at the ECU so it doesn't feed anything to the ECU. It stays alive just enough to keep the DSX happy here, and the other side of the signal wire is actually from the 5 bar. So ECU should be happy, the DSX should be happy, Everybody but my wife is happy. That's life. So that's it. We're good. We're golden. Keep your panties on. I'll see you later.